I thought I was being smart when I avoided the stinging ritual palm wound, but in the end, even the wrist cut caught up to me. I had to set down the almost finished seashell necklace and finally give in to the urge to scratch, scratch, and scratch against all parental advice in the world. But it wasn't actually this physical itch that bothered me the most on this beautiful day. Whenever the wound reminded me of its existence, it also reminded me of Omicon. Omicon, which could harbor a secret to the perfect revenge. Okay, I feel like I should stress this here again. I'm not an idiot. Clearly, it's not a dummy-friendly amount of power hidden within the book. I won't use it. But that doesn't mean I won't be tempted. Who wouldn't be? A distant engine whirring announced my deadline, so I scrambled to tie up the necklace and packed it neatly together with the rest of the jewelry I made. The Kinney twins arrived in their envy-breeding car and parked it near the center. Wufok, our resident mongrel with the memory of a mayfly, charged in and fell into his weekly frenzy, trying to wage an assault on the horror-born creature. If only I'd known you could make bank by traveling around and peddling other people's wares before the sisters took over the niche. And now that they had the car, they added ferrying tourists to the scheme. Outrageous. Good afternoon, wee fox fan, one of the girls greeted us. I had no chance to ever tell them apart, so I'd long stopped trying. To make things worse, they were one of those twins, always dressing the same. Today they wore matching blue polka dot skirts and whimsical red tops. As always, we bring you cold hard cash, but also a lovely guest looking to stay around for a week or two. The aforementioned guest stepped out of the car, readjusted his glasses, and straightened his clothes. Big city man, no doubt. No one from around here would wear a long-sleeved shirt in this weather or iron their pants with crease. We weren't insane. He looked around and smiled at the four of us who approached the sisters to trade in our wares. Name's Loken Jaley, he introduced himself and bumped up the heavy bag he carried on his shoulder. A curious glance revealed it was full of books. An intellectual, huh? I'm visiting the nearby towns to find a place to settle in. Would someone be so kind as to direct me to a guest house of any kind? Sure thing, I said, perhaps too enthusiastically, but better to look a fool than waste an opportunity. Guests always brought gossip with them, and gossip, much like bread, tasted best fresh out of the oven. But then the full meaning of his words reached me. Wait, you mean you wish to see all the towns around here and choose the best one? Mr. Jaley tilted his head, clearly surprised by the question. A first surprise of many, no doubt. Yes, he said, somewhat hesitant. I guess you could put it that way. I see, I smiled innocently, but the wheels in my head were already turning. All right then, well, I'm Irini, and I'll be happy to show you around if you give me just 1 second here. By all means, he nodded. No, it's not what you think. Not this time. Look, I had to take care of this guest, and I had to do it well, or Mayor One would have my hide. Foxfen had officially entered the Best of the Boonies competition, and Foxfen would not lose. There was a time when, upon seeing a handsome stranger arrive to Foxfen, I would quickly fall into fantasies about what could potentially become of it. It's just what happens when the S-word becomes pertinent and every opportunity feels like it might be the last one you get before all that is left is your plan Z. But that time was long over. For about 2 weeks to be exact. Now, the hole in my heart that used to harbor the longing for fairy tale romance was filled with craving for revenge from a different genre entirely. Mrs. Conba's curse has finally succeeded in creating the cold, loveless monster who barely even noticed Lochan's handsome features, the silkiness of his freshly washed hair, and the distinguished, near irresistible big city accent. A monster who wondered only for a short moment what sort of books Mr. Daly read, and what interesting job he must hold. But though the monster now had its clear goal, the path remained obscured. When I was a child, revenge used to be so easy. Throw a candy into a long hair, sneak a frog into the underwear drawer, glue a butt to the chair, or a chill ran down my spine at the mere thought of such evil. Orchestrate the birth of a horrible nickname that will stick and follow the victim to their grim end 8 years later. But Mrs. Conba kept her hair short and frogs on the friend list. There wasn't a single thing she was afraid of or disgusted by, and she couldn't care less what people called her, as she rarely spoke to anyone. I pursed my lips and glanced at Omicron, peeking at me from the half-dead closet. I wouldn't use it, but there was no harm in looking for some inspiration, was there? I sat down on the floor, stretched out my legs, and laid the damned book in my lap. 2 garnets embedded in its cover mocked me, as if they were Ferry's own watchful eyes, here to witness my falling for his trap. I should have known the second I saw his helpful notes that something was up. A helpful mage? Please, that should have stunk from a mile away. Love not only makes people blind, it apparently also guts their sense of smell. I opened Omicron and began to browse through the offered spells. Poetic justice. Show me some poetic justice here, I muttered. Most of the spells weren't of much help. They ranged anywhere from banishing evil spirits through increasing one's intellect or physical prowess to changing the sex of an unborn baby. Basically, whatever a desperate dummy like me might want to get solved with magic, Omicron had just the thing to help. 2 of the pages stuck together, and as I tried to separate them, I could swear one of them straight up stiffened to cut my finger. 'Cause the healing wrist wasn't being annoying enough, huh? I hissed and put the digit in my mouth. What are you, a vampire now? I grumbled. But the blood tribute might have just been worth it, as the spell between these 2 pages triggered an idea. It promised to erase the memory of you wronging your victim, and hence allow you to repair damaged relationships, recover lost friends, and mend broken marriages. See, there was one thing Mrs. Conba valued above all else: her peace and solitude. She'd worked hard at getting a nasty hag reputation, which kept all the human pests at bay better than a force field. Children, loitering drunks, visiting peddlers, every annoying being knew to steer clear of her house. And wouldn't it be poetic if the payback for the curse that kept me from companionship was something that would keep her from solitude? I was about to close Omicron and move on with my scheming, when a handwritten word on the empty page by the cover caught my eye. Maybe. What the hell? The word sat right in the middle of one of my best penis drawings, and I sure as hell did not remember sketching that masterpiece over one of Ferry's scribbles. Then again, it wasn't impossible that the rage had clouded my vision and muddled my memories. That had to be it. I mean... But just in case I found a page where I just cut my finger, and I made sure to wipe it as clean as I could. As they say, better paranoid than fucked.